Tomorrow is the day that 1.3 million Americans are set to lose their unemployment benefits. The bipartisan budget deal didn't extend them, and Senator Harry Reid has promised to deal with it in the new year. But will Republicans sign on to the deal? Joining me now is Vermont's independent Senator Bernie Sanders. Senator Sanders, a pleasure. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
So we are hearing there could be a 3-month temporary extension. Where does that stand?
Well, the bill is going to be introduced. It should be on the floor as soon as we get back. I think there is widespread support in the Democratic caucus for doing it. We hope we can get some Republican support. The fact of the matter is, to my mind, it is not just immoral to leave 1.3 million Americans and their families out there hanging with no income at a time when long-term unemployment is almost at a record level, but it is also bad economics. What happens is when these people have no income coming in, they're obviously not spending any money. Economists tell us that will result in a 0.2% drop in the GDP and the loss of about 160,000 jobs. So I think from a moral perspective, from an economic perspective, we can't turn our backs on struggling people who just can't find work.
Now, you, sir, are well aware that there are some Republicans who want the unemployment benefits to be specifically outlined and how they will be paid for. You have Kentucky's Republican Senator Rand Paul, who told NBC that extending the benefits would weaken America. So it's all about the art of negotiating. What are you willing to give up?
No, it's not about the...
No?
Alex, it's not about the art of negotiating. It's a very different philosophy. Rand Paul and many of his friends will give every tax break possible to millionaires and billionaires. We're losing $100 billion every single year because corporations are stashing their money in the Cayman Islands and other tax havens. These guys, Rand Paul and his friends, have nothing to say about that. But when it comes to attacking the needs of working families, whether it's extended unemployment, whether it's cuts in food stamps, whether it's wanting to make massive cuts in Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, that's where they're coming from. So you got a huge philosophical difference.
And look, I'll be honest, I'm with you here. But how then do you negotiate with Rand Paul and those factions in the Republican Party to get something that can get passed?
Well, I'll tell you how you do it, and we are doing it. You go to the American people. Now, for example, the Rand Pauls and virtually every Republican wanted to cut Social Security. They wanted to cut Medicare. They wanted to cut Medicaid. Guess what? We didn't cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. You know why? Because some of us worked very hard to rally millions of Americans who are saying you're not going to balance the budget on the backs of the elderly, the children, the sick, and the poor, and they give tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires and large corporations. And when you take that case to the American people, we are going to win that. So it means involving, educating, organizing the American people to stand up for the middle class and working families of this country.
But, Senator, did we not get on this case soon enough in the hallowed halls of Congress there? I mean, you have many Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Chris Van Hollen, they said, we have to have this be part of this negotiation, and it didn't happen. So where was the breakdown?
Well, the breakdown is that you have Paul Ryan and his Republican colleagues who are very adamant. What they are saying is, yes, we have more income and wealth inequality today than any time in American history, but we're not going to ask billionaires and the wealthiest people and the largest corporations to pay a nickel more in taxes. We want to balance the budget on the backs of the vulnerable. And that's the clash that you had. So if they're not going to bring in more revenue by asking the wealthy and large corporations to pay their fair share, we're put in a very difficult place. But I think the American people, in poll after poll, are very clear. They do want the wealthy and large corporations to begin paying their fair share, and that's the effort we've got to make.
Look, I can hear the fire in your voice about this, but a question that I asked earlier was what will make the difference between where we are right now and coming back from the break when Congress reconvenes and putting something together? What has happened with these disparate ideologies that will put something together for these people who have no more money after tomorrow?
Well, you just think back a couple of months ago, Alex, when our Republican friends shut down the government because they wanted to defund Obamacare. They ended up yielding on that. Why did they yield? They changed their views? No. The American people said you can't shut down the government because you're unhappy about something. So when the American people get involved and speak out, we are going to win this fight, and I believe that is what is going to happen.